good morning, and happy Tuesday morning to each and every one of you. It is your favorite show from the ground up. Real time issues or real time solutions for MWBEs. We're so excited that you are a part of our family. We started this show with you in mind, understanding we're living in unprecedented times, and literally we're all building from the ground up and need those real time issues to be addressed with a real-time solution. So Queen Strategy Partners brings you this show, season 2, every other Tuesday morning, first and third Tuesdays of the month. So we thank you for adjusting with our schedule so that we can continue to bring you the information that will help your business thrive post all of what we're experiencing, and in real time get the information that will help you to build solid foundations and collaborations, and realizing you don't have to do it alone, because this show is brought to you by 3 businesses that are smart enough to partner. Nicole Valentine, Esquire, Danielle Douglas, and myself, Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant. We comprise Queen Strategy Partners, and I guess we had a little foresight, Danielle, in knowing that collaboration was going to be the new language of this century. So we're stronger together. We're all bosses in our own right, but coming together, and has produced quality in the marketplace. And I'm excited because I get to hang out with one of my dearest and bestest friends in the whole wide world, the amazing, the incomparable Danielle Douglas. Good morning, Danielle, and please greet our guests.
Good morning, Miss Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant. I think I coined that term, Stacey.
I think so.
Giving you a double title, but I have to do that because that just shows the boss lady that you really are. You get a double title, Miss Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant.
I love it, and only you can give me that title that way. It doesn't come out right from anybody else, so I appreciate it.
You know how we have pet names for people that we love. We call them whatever. I tell you, my 2 aunts who call me Trace-a-la. We all have these little names. So that's my loving name for you, Miss Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant. So with that said, I had to give my partner a little bit love back at her since she was giving me some love. We got to return the love, especially since we just finished with Valentine's Day, right? We got to keep the feeling going. But love. So with that said, I want to say thank you so much for joining Miss Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant and myself this morning. As we shared with you at the beginning of the year, we really wanted to drill down and focus on the power of collaboration. We started our collaboration almost 4 years ago now.
Wow, 4 already?
Time flies. And so we wanted to share our success story, but we also wanted to walk you through what that looks like. Because as Stacey said, now more than ever, we need to come together and collaborate with one another. The times dictate that. And this is not the time to try to go it alone. This is the time for you to think about how you can help one another. And so in the spirit of that, Stacey and I thought it would be great if we could drill down and really talk about, again, collaboration and all the things that you should be thinking about as it relates to creating a successful collaboration. So at least for the first quarter, until at least the end of March, we will be drilling down with different topics as it relates to this. So we hope that you continue to take this journey with us and that you find this information to be valuable. So with that said, I'm going to pivot back over to my partner, Miss Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant.
Thank you, Danielle. Absolutely. And I'm still processing what you just said. It's almost 4 years. Where did the time go? And just being open to what a collaboration could bring. Look what a blessing. Who knew I was going to meet my other sister for life, as sisters, right? Because it's like, wow, you never know what's in store and what's ahead, because life is filled with a box of chocolates, as one of the movies would say, right? And I definitely have, there are multiple feelings that I get when I think about that, but 4 years if we didn't start exploring what it could we be sitting here on From the Ground Up almost 4 years later? So how do you find your JV? That's what we're going to talk about today, and some of the questions that you might want to consider in formulating your steps, right? As we guide you through what some of the potential asks could be as you get started. And we keep hearing Queen Strategy talk about their partnership, their collaboration. They've brought on guests on the show that have shared information on how you can position yourself in the marketplace. And last time we had a case study in real time going through what a potential collaboration could look like and how that could just start from a conversation and then build into whatever model works for you. But when you're finding your JV, it starts with, what is their background story, right? Like, how do you really understand who they are in the marketplace? Have they been in business for 1 year, 2 years, over 10 years? What sort of information do you know about them? Because Danielle and I, when we were discussing this, we realized it's important to really understand who the person is, right, Danielle? I don't think you would want to start dating someone with no history.
No, even though we did that.
We actually
don't do as we do as we tell you.
but even though I would beg to say we had a very good person with a judge of character on who we were. So we were totally blind because we valued the input of the person who brought us together. So that makes it a little different, wouldn't you say?
I would. And the thing is, the beauty of that is that we were willing to say yes, right? Yes to just showing up. And that's really important because, folks, you got to show up, you know? And so we were physically showing up. Like I said, I happened to be in a meeting with that person the day before, and they were like, come to this meeting the next day. And I was like, okay. And I showed up not knowing what, or assuming I knew what the meeting was going to be. So, you know, we got to take that as a metaphor. You got to show up, and then you got to say yes. You got to be willing to say yes to things.
Right. And then that begins the courtship, because that's when you really find out about the background story. And I remember I was told, you need to meet, do you know? That was the first question. Do you know? And the names came out. And I said, no, I don't really think I know. Oh, well, you all need to know each other and just come and show up. Like, we all got like the Charlie from Charlie's Angels. We got the call, just show up. Be here at such and such time. And we did that, and we started to learn a little bit more of the background story, because that part is important. Not everybody's going to be a fit for the things that you're doing in business. And this is a show about business. So finding out a little bit about where they operate, where's their brilliance, their sphere of influence. And you start to investigate that, and that helps you to understand, is this really someone that there's potential for us doing work with? And remember, Danielle, I know we went through this with our case study. There are different kinds of potential JVs, potential partnerships. So as you said, you don't have to limit yourself and close off to possibility. You show up, you never know what's in store for you.
Amen. And you know, the other thing, when we talk about background story, Stacey, you and I talked about the fact that you may have a situation where, while you're doing your due diligence and you're trying to understand what this person can bring to the table, and that kind of goes to the second check of the value add, is that part of that is really being clear, as we have shared with you before, what your strengths and weaknesses are, as well as, again, what is this potential JV partner's strengths and weaknesses. And you have to do the internal understanding of that as well, because guess what? You don't want there to be a conflict later on, right? You and I talked about that, Stacey, while that's really important. So if there is some feeling of unease on any level, maybe with the person's character, maybe with, is this potentially a good fit? Either you need to articulate that early on, but just as importantly, you need to act upon that, because it may come back to bite you later.
Absolutely. And the value add can come in different ways. When we talk about value add, it can be the person's technology acumen is just like superior. Like they can.
Hallelujah. You know I need that, Stacey.
Yeah, we won't talk about how we brought you into the age of video conference calls. I'll never forget, Danielle, when I was like, let's do a Zoom. And you were like, can't we just do a conference call?
Look, speak the truth, folks. Speak the truth. Stacey's speaking the truth. And so I'm like, why? Can we just do? Yes. For real.
And look at you now, hosting conferences, doing all sorts of amazing things with technology. But that's when you talk about value add, will the relationship grow you? Because Danielle grew me too. Because I'm like, girl, do what? Like, what are we doing in this government space? So it was something I wasn't comfortable with, but I grew into it, and she was able to sharpen my saw and challenge me to do more. The same with Nicole. We all bring something different. We all add a value to the JV. So what that potential individual possesses is important. And it's not always just the monetary, whether they have a bank account that can underwrite certain things. They might have the bank of brilliance in their mind. They might have the technology. They might have other resources and connections that will amplify the work that you do together. So it's very important to understand that value add. And then I'm going to go back to you, Danielle, on the JV structure, because you're always talking about, well, there are many different ways to do it. We are unique in the hybrid form that we have, but I'd love for you to just explain that as people are thinking about, if I'm going to find my JV, how do I really address what kind of JV structure?
Yes. And the thing about that, Stacey, and keeping it real is that we're still trying to figure that out, right? Because it's an organic process. So in essence, we do have a hybrid JV. And sometimes in regards to us, sometimes there's one person to act as what we say the prime. They are taking, for all intents and purposes, like the first position, and then they hire the other partners to work under them. So we have done that. In addition to that, we have a corporation that is Queen Strategy Partners. So we have the flexibility to work our JV in different ways. If you're looking into the government space, there is something called teaming, where you can come together and form a JV for a particular project. And maybe you decide that you don't want to work with that person. I don't mean that in a negative way. It sounds that way. You don't want to work with the person, but you intend to only have this JV for a particular project, right? And then there's in the private space, you can do the same thing, or it could be a situation like our case study where they work on, we use the example of a wedding, and that they have more of a strategic partnership where they bring the other person on to do the makeup or to do the photography or the videography for that particular client, right? Or you just could have a referral strategy. And that's a strategic partnership where you refer your clients who need that particular service to that person. That's your go-to person for that particular service. So there's a level of flexibility in how you collaborate. It could be very structured and it could be very loose. But regardless of what that looks like, you still have to do your due diligence in regards to really being clear on what that person's background story is. What do they bring to the table in regards to skill sets, resources, and that could be monetary, it could be knowledge, it could be clients.
Absolutely.
Clients, right? And that's where the strategic partnership comes in, because they may have access to a total group of individuals that you would not have access to unless you developed this strategic partnership.
Absolutely. Good morning, Jason. I see you and on the show. Appreciate you. He said you're growing each other as well as those who are paying attention. Look,
Amen.
Some things are taught and some things are caught. That's a good one, my brother. So I appreciate you sharing that, because that's how businesses should be, right? You're not just staying in one place hopefully your projections every year are to grow and expand and to scale. And collaborations and JVs offer you an opportunity to really push faster and farther than you could do by yourself, potentially, right? So this is just exploring, if you're looking for one, the things that will help you do that, right? So that is important. Or is that Jason? Look, I didn't know which. We can't see the name on this one. I thought it was him tuning in. Which one of my folks? Look, sorry, with our production, sometimes it doesn't give us the name. So I thought it was one, and it's not. So charge that to technology, not me. But just put your name in so I can shout you out right. On some of our platforms, it doesn't give us the name. But I appreciate you being here for the show. Oh, it's Donovan. Hey, oh Lord. Yeah, I can't mess up my big bro. Lord, I'll be in trouble forever. Sorry, Donovan.
Very quick course correction, right?
Yes.
You
being nimble.
Yes.
But now, as we continue to talk about finding your JV, the past references and experiences that they have, like, have they done any other joint ventures? And to your point before, Danielle, you mentioned it can be very structured. Like, we have a structure, we have governing documents, we have a corporation. You know, when we started, we weren't initially a corporation, we grew to that. And we've been massaging it so that it works for what we do with our individual businesses and coming together collectively as Queen Strategy. But how?
Stacey, I'm sorry to cut you off, but even before we got to the point of a corporation, we had a JV agreement, right? So I just want to say we still had, some form of agreement that dictated and gave us some structure on how we wanted to operate. Now, it's been a very organic document that we have, continued to revise as we move forward in the JV, but at least we did have a JV agreement early on.
And that's important. And thank you for inserting that, because it made things easier with expectations when you write it down, because we can have verbal agreements and understandings, and we have a conversation this year and then we forget what the context was next year, and it can be interpreted differently unless it's in writing. When it's in writing, you go to what's in writing. That's the power of putting things down so that you can reference something that everyone agreed to at a certain time. And if it needs to be adjusted or changed, there's a process in how you do that. So governing documents, even in the beginning stages, is very important. So this speaks to, what kind of experience does this potential JV have? Have they been in a JV before? Whether it was a loose partnership, a relationship, or a formalized one, it's good to know that, because maybe you can do additional due diligence. Was this person a great partner, or were they cray-cray? Right? Really just figuring out what kind of past background or history they might have could serve you if you don't have any inkling of who they are. We were fortunate, like I said, because the person who brought us together, we all respected their opinion, and we know that they wouldn't have brought us together if there wasn't some great potential, and he values and respects each and every one of us. So that was something that was important. But check the past references, just as an FYI, because it's still going to be a growing process.
And Stacey, with that said, because I'm getting all excited when I hear you say something. So just know, folks, I'm not trying to cut her off. I'm just like, oh my gosh, she said something very good. Is that we were talking about expectations and this having some form of structure, if that is the way that you want to go. And depending upon why you are entering into this agreement, I think that is a very important factor in deciding if you need to have a JV agreement. Okay. And like you said, that will help frame expectations. But the other part of that is we are going to get into is communication, because there's expectations of you get 30% if it's three of us, or 33%, I get 33%, or whatever that looks like when it comes to expectations. But there's also expectations as it relates to things like how you divvy up the work, how do you make decisions together, things that are a little more organic, that is not necessarily going to be in the JV agreement, but is equally equally important, if not more important, in regards to expectations, right? It's like getting married and your husband is like, I expected that you were going to cook every day. And you're like, well, what made you think I was going to cook every day? Is that type of thing that people make assumptions, but then again, those assumptions can have negative impact.
Very important. It's true. And communication is key for JV, for marriage, for parenting. Like, you go down the line, you have to communicate in order to really make sure that all parties involved are having their voices heard and valued and respected. So that's key. Thank you for that, Danielle. And that brings me to what's in your gut, because our gut feeling usually is right. Some of us are more keen and heated to that gut instinct, and some of us, it got to hit us upside of the head before we pay attention to it. But what's in your gut? Literally, do you have a good feeling like, wow, this could really grow my business? I could be that person. And we use this example in the first season of the show, talking about one of the transportation companies that, because of COVID-19, had to stop when there were no flights going anywhere. Everything was shut down before the airport started to slowly open up, and they needed to keep revenue coming in. And restaurants had to close because they couldn't have in-person dining. They could only do the takeout, and they were able to connect a transportation company and a restaurant. The restaurant needed to get food out. The transportation company still needed to deliver. They made a collaboration. It made sense in their gut. When they spoke, they were like, look, we need to do something. And in just doing something and being open to working outside of the comfort zone of that particular business, that JV kept them afloat until things started moving again and people started being able to travel, being able to go in for limited dining during the summer and into the fall. So that's just an example of, it's in your gut, like, this feels good. And then sometimes you're like, something's just not right. Run for the hills.
Run to higher ground, run to the hills, right?
Because if your gut doesn't feel right, then it's telling you something. And women particularly, our intuition is always heightened. So when you feel it, believe it, right? If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, guess what? It's a duck. But I'll let you kick off the next one, Danielle.
So really, this is very, very important. And that's what's your appetite for honest dialogue, because you are going to get into disagreements. Don't think it's going to be all the time, because it's not, right? Especially when you have 2, 3, 4 bosses who are independent and they're boss people in their own right, in their respective businesses. Again, just like a marriage, the way you were raised is not the way that your significant other was raised, right? And then when you come to parent, you may have different parenting skills, even though you have the same values, even though you have the same thing, want the same things. It may not like come out in the wash the same way. And so when you have that type of friction, sometimes you have to be willing to have honest dialogue. And that in and of itself can be a deal breaker, or it can be something that could cause conflict, because if you can't be honest, or the person is overly sensitive, or you have to, walk on eggshells and things like that, then you are hindering the growth of the JV.
And that's a good point. I think it's Donovan that raised that. Sometimes disagreements are necessary.
For sure. Yes, I agree. If you're never having a disagreement, to be honest with you, then you're not stretching yourselves. If you're not having a disagreement, if you agree on everything, you don't want it to always be a conflict, clearly, because that's dysfunction on the other end of the spectrum. But you can't be afraid to bring your uniqueness to the table and then come to an agreement, and a meeting of the minds. And I think it should be easy. It should sound mature, But oftentimes, not oftentimes, I don't mean to sound again negative, but sometimes that is not the case.
And I think it's not the case all the time because the level of comfort has to grow with being completely honest. Sometimes folks hold back or they're being reserved, and not necessarily for a negative reason, just because they don't want to hurt someone's feelings or seem too harsh or too, cut and dry, and they're feeling their way around. How do they really communicate their honesty? How do they really share what they're feeling and not hold back? So the appetite for that, all you're doing is just checking the appetite for it. Like, is there a space for this to grow? Can we get through the difficult conversations? Will that impede our ability to do our work together? Because ultimately you're coming together for a JV because you have some sort of deliverable, some sort of work product, some sort of service that you're going to be giving a clientele. So you want to make sure that at least there's some sort of appetite for the conversations that need to happen so it doesn't get in the way of the ultimate goal, which is getting paid. Hello. So you want to
Hallelujah.
you want to make sure that you can move to the point of getting the check. All right. It feels good every time Queen Strategy Partners gets paid, right, for the things that we do. So you want to make sure that that's something that you at least have a conversation about. Because if someone is really reserved and they're closed off, it could cause a potential problem. So this is about really doing the research, checking the pulse, and finding out what's important to you when you're looking for a JV. So with that being said, your communication preference. Some people like to communicate in writing. Some people like to talk in person. Some people like to, have an agenda before they speak. Some like it to be free flowing. Like, what's your communication style and preference? That's something to ask the additional person or persons that you would be working with, because communication style and preference can play a part in getting to completion of a project or even formalizing whatever collaboration you're working on.
You know what, Stacey? I think you said it so well, right? In regards to understanding that. And the things that we are sharing with you, it may again sound simple, but the simple things are not always the easy things. And you can't take for granted that these things that we're talking about, that is gonna be assumed, again, you can't take it for granted. So that's why we're sharing these critical ingredients of when you're looking to do a JV, we want to ensure that you are successful. And at the end of the day, as Stacey said, it translates to greater revenue for your company.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also opportunity and exposure, because now you're exposed to each other's networks, resources. People start to not only recognize what you've built as your history of influence, product, services, but now they know that you're associated with other businesses that are adding value, and it just increases your value in the marketplace if you're a part of the right JV. Sometimes it's not the right JV, but let's look at some real world examples before we get to the last point we want to raise. When FedEx had the opportunity to look at their bottom line and say, something just ain't right, like the song, like we need to do more to get more market share, they connected with Kinko's. So one does copies, another one does shipping. It was like, okay, if we come together and we bring all of our resources together, we can dominate in this space. So I'm sure sitting around the boardroom table, there might have been a little bit of uncomfortability, right? They were like, hold on, I don't know. We've had this brand for years. I don't know about mixing. I don't know what this JV would look like, but I'm sure they went through a lot of what we just shared with you. Clearly, they knew the background stories of each company. They knew that there was some value add of a great brand that was known for providing a service for businesses and home-based businesses, individuals with copying. They knew that this couldn't just be a casual, it had to be a formal JV, and they actually merged companies. So it gets a little bit more complicated, but they were looking at all of these pieces to come to a decision where they announced to the world that these two companies were coming together to merge. So it was initially a JV concept that turned into a merger that now serving the marketplace. And when you think about one, you can't forget the other. FedEx Kinko's is everywhere. So that's just an example. I see
And
some.
and Stacey, again, that's a great example, but sometimes these major companies don't get it right. Sometimes they do have a JV and they end up getting a divorce from their JV. It doesn't work, So that's why we, being small business owners, we really do need to have a template on what makes a successful JV, and what makes it, how can we bring it or utilize this tool in a very practical way to grow our businesses.
Absolutely. And let's check out this comment here. I think at the beginning of a JV, a serious conversation needs to be had, stating that the parties will be open and upfront with each other because the ultimate outcome is to get paid, like you both said. Absolutely. So, it's funny to me that you wouldn't take the time to have that, especially when there's money at stake, right? There's opportunity. It would seem simple and common sense, as you said, Danielle, but it's really not that simple to some people. Like, they overlook it. And there are many ways to do a JV. We've established that. There are different types. But if you're going to find one, how are you setting yourself up for success? There has to be a plan. Everybody knows the old adage, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So if you're planning, what we're doing with Queen Strategy Partners in providing you the resources, the information, and the experts on our show is giving you information to make your plan. Because 2021 is here, right? We're moving forward with a different version. Some people still think this is 2020 with a wig on, but whatever you think it is, we here, as they would say, we here now. So if you haven't considered a JV, maybe this is something that you could use as a strategy in your forecast and your projections for where your business can go in 2021 and beyond. So don't close off to the possibility. Open up to what could be possible with the power of collaboration. And it can be as formal as what we have with Queen Strategy Partners, or it could be as casual as our case study conversation in our last show talked about two professionals that can work together in case by case scenario of their clientele.
And Stacey, at the heart of what we're saying is we need each other. Just like, the essence of our show is from the ground up, right? Real-time solutions for real-time issues. And now more than ever, I just cannot stress how much we need each other, and we need to be there for one another, personally as well as on a professional level. And so I think we're coming from that spirit of how can you find folks that you can lift up, work together for the common good of both parties. And that's where the win-win comes in.
Absolutely. What constitutes a win-win? What are they looking for? Like, what does that look like for somebody? Is it just financially? Like, all I care about is the shmoney? Or is it more than that? Is it about building a strong collaborative relationship that could start out just business to business, but end up being someone who becomes family? Like, I didn't know where my relationship with my partners would be, and I consider them a part of my family. Like, they can't get rid of me. I told them, you can't quit me.
Nor do we want to.
So that's the joy of getting a good partnership, and our hope that when you do your due diligence and your homework, that whatever JV you enter in, it becomes an added value and blessing in your life, not just in your business, but overall, it helps you to show up better, be better, experience more. And it's always good when you can make money together. I mean, hello.
Hallelujah.
So that is always a blessing. And then you get to support each other. So I'm going to let Danielle give her final comments on this. And then we're going to talk about an event that she has coming up that can benefit are MWBEs and small businesses. That's critical to the conversations that are happening in the marketplace right now. So we want to give some time for you to be able to hear about that as well. But final thoughts on finding your JV, Danielle.
So the final thought, I think I kind of summed it up before about for both of us, and I'm sure I can speak on behalf of both of us. Again, don't get caught up in the word JV. It's more important that you think collaboration, that you think community, you think win-win. That is what we really want to get across, because JV could sound so, legalistic, and JV, how to, you're dealing with business owners every day, other business owners, right? We're just asking you to expand your thinking on how you can utilize the resources that you have right there at your fingertips in a bigger and greater way. And that is what I would sum up when, as we kind of transition to what we're going to talk about in regards to the event. But that's what I would sum up in regards to our topic today, finding your JV.
Absolutely. And, right now, we are in need of all the support that we can get, and the information that is available to us comes from sharing knowledge, sharing resources, and we have an opportunity for small businesses to really now get some additional information around how they can grow their company financially. So you have an event coming up, correct, Danielle?
I do, and if you go to the event page.
Okay, let me go to the event.
Yes, there should.
Here we go.
There you go. Thank you. And if you scroll down, you see there is no, not that one. Scroll. Oh, it's okay. It's not there. I apologize. Okay. My apologies. Okay. My web design. He was supposed to add it. But where they can go is Council for BBE.
All right. I think it's here now.
No. If you go to the website, Council for BBE.
Okay. All right. So I'll do that while you talk about it. I'll bring that up.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So next week, Wednesday, February 24th, there will be a virtual event called Access to Capital, Bridging the Gap. We have a great, we have a great panelist. We will have Valerie White. She's the executive director of LISC NYC. She'll be speaking about grants, and that's something that is important to all of us, right? Grants. We'll have someone from True Fund, which is a community development financial institution, talking about the PPP loan, because we're in the third round of the PPPs. If you have not taken advantage of the PPP loan and you want to, then this will be a great opportunity for you to get additional information about the PPP loan, because the end date in regards to applying for that loan is, I believe, March 31st. We'll also have someone who will be from National Development Corporation, and she'll be talking about the underwriting guidelines, what you should have in place to get a loan, as well as other loan products in addition to the PPP loan. And last but not least, we're going to have a business owner, and he's actually been a guest, Stacy, here, Andrew Walcott, who's the proprietor of Fusion East in Brooklyn, New York. He is an accountant and lawyer by trade. He's worked with multiple businesses in that capacity, but then he took the leap to open up a restaurant, and now he's a proprietor of a restaurant. And so he's had the opportunity to take advantage of grants, PPP, EIDL loan, other loan products. And so we wanted him to discuss the importance of having a capital strategy. Just like Stacy and I have been talking about having a JV strategy, he'll be discussing how to have a capital strategy that you can't just depend on grants. You may not necessarily just want to depend on the PPP loan, but you're going to have to take these different resources, financial resources, again, put them together to have a holistic strategy to move your business forward as it relates to finances and being able to take your business to another level. And then we're going to have breakout rooms, and we will have each of our panelists in a breakout room that you can ask them more specific questions about the topic that's important to you. So if you want to learn more about capital strategy, you could go in a breakout room with Andrew. If you want to know more about grants, you could go into the breakout room with Valerie. So we wanted to make it as robust as possible to get you the information that you need. And so we are really excited about it. We think it's going to be a great program. And we hope that you'll join us on Wednesday, February 24th from 5 to 7:30 p.m.
Awesome. I am still looking to pull up the site, but that is next Wednesday. So you want to make sure that you jot that down. And I know you'll have it up on Inspire on your website as well. And all MWB should register with the state of New York and subscribe to New York State Contract Reporter to view bid postings that they may get. Oh, that's right. To get a piece of that. Exactly. I mean,
Thank you.
You have to be in it to win it. So we're definitely a proponent of that. And this is going to be an incredible event that the council is putting together, and you are spearheading through your company. So I'm excited about it. That's what collaborations are. We want to be able to bring all of the resources together, because at the end of the day, this is our time and our season to win, period.
Yes.
So all of the attention that's being given to MWBEs and access and opportunity. This is a discussion on capital. One of the greatest parts of the process for most businesses is access to capital. How do you actually win those contracts so that you can scale and grow your business? So
Stacy, if you could put it in, because I know you have to put the information into the chat. It's Council 4 with the number 4, Council 4 BBE. I just thought about that. You may have did 4 FOR.
Yes. Okay, so let's see. That might have done it, and then I can pull it up for everybody. No, it's still not coming up. Is Council for BBE, correct?
Yes, council4bbe.com.
Okay, so let's do that in real time, because we want to make sure that you all get this information and share it out.
So thank you, folks, for your patience.
Mm-hmm.
But we're looking forward to hopefully seeing you there.
And what is the cost?
The cost is $0. It's a free event.
No way.
Yes way.
BBC.
BBE.
BBE. All right, we're doing this in real time. Let's see if it comes up. I put BBE and it gave me something else. So give us a second, folks, because we want to make sure that you get this. And while we're doing this, happy birthday to my mommy. Today's her birthday.
Happy birthday.
So, yep, here we are.
You got it?
Awesome. We got it.
There you go.
All right.
If you click on the events page, there you go. And if you click on the flyer, it'll take you straight to the registration.
Awesome. So everyone, you see, and I'm going to put it in the chat so that you can, oops. It's not.
So we told you all before, Stacy's the technology person. I'm not.
So it says 0. You serious? Exactly. Like This is, thank you for the happy birthday to my mommy. But yeah, you want to register for this. That's why we had to take a moment to make sure that the right site came up so that all of you know how to access this particular event. So when things like this happen and are available, you want to take advantage of it. So this is a phenomenal moderator, a phenomenal program with some real key individuals who are doing the work and making it happen. So congratulations, Danielle. This is going to be amazing. Free registration. Make sure that you register. This is going to be important. And, when you go through all of this work, you want to make sure that people take advantage of it. So make sure that you are participating as well as sharing the information. Don't say that nobody told you, that you didn't know, you wish you, none of that. You want to go ahead and just click on through and register. So thank you for sharing this information with us, Danielle. And we appreciate the fact that you are bringing this to the community. More solutions. That's what we do. We just provide solutions in the marketplace and give people opportunity to scale, grow their businesses, and make money. So we appreciate you being a part of From the Ground Up, real-time issues with real-time solutions for MWBEs and small businesses. So final comments over to you, my dear, phenomenal co-host.
Well, I'm just going to say thank you all for your patience in getting this information to you in regards to the event. But more importantly, I always say this: knowledge is knowledge, but it only becomes wisdom when it's knowledge rightly applied. So Stacey and I will continue to be here to provide great information to you, to give you real-time solutions for your real-time issues. We know money is one of the most important things that business owners need right now to sustain themselves and grow. But you also need to look at, again, how you can look at other resources to collaborate. So we know we've been beating you over the head about that, but repetition is the mother of all knowledge. So we're just going to continue to, give you this information, and we just ask that, one, you apply it. Two, that you show up in another 2 weeks to get even more information. And we're looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. Until then, make it happen. But wait a second. I said looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to seeing you all on February 24th. But we still want y'all to come back and be here with us. So until then, make it happen.
Absolutely. Bye-bye, everyone. Stay safe. Stay well. Wash your hands. COVID-19 is still going on out there. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.